let me ask you something else. Are you in any way did you get to know a little bit Josh Mandel? You know, he's a shining star, obviously in the Republican Party and more so in the Jewish community. What's your relationship with him?
Well, I've met Josh Mandel quite a few times now because obviously we're both campaigning, and so we show up at events. I've had some nice conversations with him. He seems like a hard worker. He really, puts elbow grease in everything he hits. He's, usually I'll talk with him for a minute or two, and then he's in there and he'll shake hands with everybody that shows up and talk with them and make them feel comfortable. So he's a good worker. But let me get back to your point that you were making real quick. Like I said, I want to work for all Americans. I don't, regardless of their cultural backgrounds. What it comes down to, it should be economic and tax reform and regulations. That's the key to prosperity in this country, and that's what I'm going to work towards. And obviously, I'll be a freshman congressman, or what they want to label as a freshman. But the beautiful thing is I have a podium. I can take that Joe the Plumber. I can go to Fox. I can go to CNN, and I can sit there and say, listen, this is what this Congress is trying to do. It does not benefit America. It benefits this party or it benefits that party. I will have no problem going against my party when it's not working on behalf of the American people, or the same with the other party. You have to vote the man instead of the party. And we gotten too far caught up in this whole gossip, he said, she said, that they're fighting each other more so than fighting for America. And that's the difference that we need in there, and that's why I'm running. And ultimately, if we can get tax reform and some of these regulations pulled off the books, then what happens is the federal government is out of your private business, out of the private markets. And that's key right there. The consumer, you and me, we drive the private market, not the federal government. When the federal government gets involved, then it screws everything up. I want subsidies gone from everybody. The oil companies don't need our subsidies, and the Green Initiative definitely doesn't need our subsidies, because right now the whole Green Initiative is subsidized off the backs of broke taxpayers. We got to get away from that. Let the private market work.
Yeah, I definitely agree with this sentiment. My concern is, and I wonder how, and I don't want to hold you up any much longer, so if you can have another few minutes, I'll appreciate it. How would you, and again, it's more relevant in a swing state because every vote counts more in a swing state than say, here in New York where I am. But how does one counter, when Obama goes out there, or his former cards, say look at the bailout. There weren't any private capital, available, and that's why we needed government bailout. And look how it worked. So then, when you want to come and say we need private enterprise, say, what private enterprise? Where was private enterprise in 08? Now, what's your? Yeah.
Listen, it's unpopular, especially where I live, but I'm completely against the bailout. What they should have done, being a privately owned company, they should have went into Chapter 13, worked them out themselves. Now Chrysler still owes America over something like $30 million or a little bit more that has been forgiven by Barack Obama. Why does Barack Obama get to forgive a debt that a private company owes the American taxpayers? Beyond me. They should have gone to Chapter 13 and filed. And that's what should have happened, because what they did is they went outside the bounds and the scope of the Constitution. And if you keep allowing your federal government to, bend the rules and break them whenever they see fit, then it's worthless. It shouldn't even be there anymore, and we can't allow that to happen. So no, I wouldn't have allowed the bailout. Because you're conservative does not mean you're not compassionate. I just don't believe in forced charity. Forced charity is tyranny. Myself, I give more so than anything the federal government can tell me to give, and I believe Americans in general are compassionate people who will give. And if we let the private market work, which will obviously give jobs, bring prosperity, then Americans will be able to do more within their community to see to the needs of the people that need them, instead of the federal government or the state government picking winners and losers and deciding who gets what and who doesn't get what. It's got to be put back in the community for everything to work the way it's supposed to do. That's why you need limited federal government and strong states' rights.
Yeah, my approach on this whole bailout thing is, I try sometimes to give it to people short and to the point. I told them Ford didn't get a direct bailout from the government, and despite being a smaller company than GM, produced a profit of $1.2 billion more in 2011 than did the bailed out GM, which still owes for the government tens of billions of dollars.
Exactly.
Which proves to show that private capital wasn't necessarily the issue. The issue back then was that people were concerned, at least private investors were concerned, how President Obama moves in, sticks up for the United Auto Workers Union, stiffs bondholders. Now, yeah, of course, you wouldn't find private capital. Why would you? If people say you go out there and tell them, hey, listen, the bonds with the contract which we had a few years ago, it's irrelevant because I got to back up the United Auto Workers Union. Of course, you wouldn't find private capital. But the fact of the matter is, Ford, without a direct bailout, in 2011, look up the numbers. Everybody was busy last year. GM had a record profit of 6.8, whatever, or 7 something. Ford, which is a smaller company, had a profit of 1.2 billion more. How did it work? Because obviously the auto industry, didn't have a problem. And so whatever, it is frustrating. I was telling you, my name is also Joe, one joke to another joke. It's a little bit frustrating how, people go out there and they try to, the change history and then claim that the Republicans are the ones changing history. One more thing, I'll let you go, sir. What's your take on the 2012 race? Whom are you rooting for? Whom? For whom are you rooting? And what happened with Santorum in Michigan? What's your take?
Well, currently, I was a strong, firm. I had supported Herman Cain early on. Obviously, Herman is out of the race now, and so I feel somewhat stuck on who to decide between the remaining four. So I don't have an answer on who I'm supporting yet. Rick Santorum was here yesterday. Mitt Romney was here today. I went to both events. I've met Newt Gingrich and I have not met Ron Paul yet. But I'm still making my choice on that, and I have to make it pretty soon because my primary to vote on these guys is March 6th. So I'm still weighing my options on who I'm going to support. As far as what happened in Michigan, both Santorum and Romney worked very hard, and what it comes down to is Romney essentially put a little bit more work than Santorum, and the people in Michigan spoke on what who they wanted to represent them, as did the people in Arizona. So it's a good win for Mitt Romney. Santorum, I believe, feels he's doing well enough to obviously stay in and keep fighting, and we'll see what happens here. Hopefully, in a couple more months. The whole idea of a brokered convention has its appeal and also has its drawbacks. So, not sure where I fall on that yet.
All right, sir. Thanks a lot for your time.